What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with reactions to the classics, and today we have Fiona Apple up on the channel, a reaction to her album Win the Pawn, ... Don't worry, I'll get into the full title in a little bit. Brought to us by friend, longtime supporter, and patron of the channel, Vita. Thank you, Vita. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out the Patreon link below or the Patreon link on the end screen. We've done maybe a song reaction to Fiona, maybe a song battle that she was featured in. I don't remember, but no albums with Fiona. So let's jump into this a little bit of research. I found a good thing in a Pitchfork article on her too that kind of lent some insight into how she does things and why she does things, because I just never really gelled with Fiona Apple, right? I don't know why. I know she's loved by critics. I just never quite got it. But what I've never done is sat down and listened to an entire album through, looking at the lyrics in this format. So a lot of times this makes me see it. So we'll see on this one. This is her second studio album, released in November of 1999. Went to 13 in the US, only 46 in the UK. Written entirely by Fiona, with production by John Bryan. In 2010, Spin magazine named this album the 106th greatest of the last 25 years. Slant magazine named it the 79th best of the 90s. Received a Grammy Award nomination for Best Alternative Album. And in 2020, when Rolling Stone magazine redid their top 500 albums of all time, this one landed all the way at number 108. The title was a poem she wrote in response to unfavorable reactions from readers of an unfavorable Spin magazine cover story about her. Upon its release, it broke the record for the longest album title ever at 444 characters. But Chumbawamba would later hold the record with 2008's The Boy Bands Have Won, whose full title is 865 characters. So the full title of this album is When the Pawn Hits the Conflicts, He Thinks Like a King. What he knows throws the blows when he goes to the fight, and he'll win the whole thing. For he enters the ring, there's nobody to batter when your mind is your might. So when you go solo, you hold your own hand. And remember that depth is the greatest of heights. And if you know where you stand, then you know where to land. And if you fall, it won't matter, because you'll know that you're right. So, Win the Pawn, probably a little less wordy. All right. I was reading this article on this album that Pitchfork wrote, and it really kind of let me know a little bit more about Fiona. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to share this with people. So she started writing, not just this album, just in general, in order to more effectively argue with her parents. As a kid who'd been identified as troubled and sent to therapy, she struggled to make authority figures see her side of conflicts. She said, so I'd go back into my room, I'd write a letter, and an hour later I'd come out and read it. This is how I'd feel. This is how I feel, and I'd go back into my room. She recalled in a 1999 Washington Post interview, I would love the way that it felt to have your side of an argument right here in front of you. If I wrote a letter, I didn't even need to win an argument. So that was interesting. And then as far as this album, on its surface, it's a suite of 10 songs that dissect embattled loves and unhealthy desires, demonstrating the impossibility of maintaining romantic relationships when you're always at war with yourself. I would say any sort of relationship, right? Not even romantic. The you to whom Fiona addresses so many of her lyrics isn't necessarily singular. Female singer-songwriters are generally presumed to be memoirists, but Apple has always maintained that the songs on this record were composed without any specific personal incidents in mind. Often she could just as plausibly be speaking to a derisive, judgmental public. So I thought that was important. These, she just said she wrote. They weren't to someone in particular, which I imagine these are going to be pretty intense songs. And there's a unique ability you can have. You can write a song that seems like, hey, this has got to be personal, but it's actually not. And this album itself was a division of labor. John Bryan recalled her beginning their collaboration by playing an almost fully realized Win the Pawn on a piano, then telling him plainly, I write pretty well, I'm a good singer, and I can play my songs well enough on piano. You're good at everything else. So I think that's how we should proceed. And if we're ever off base, I'll let you know. With that in mind, he recorded her vocals and piano first, sometimes simultaneously. Then, so that's what she did. Then he went back and added other instruments with help from a deep, impressive roster of professional session musicians. Metacritic, who takes all the critics on this album, puts it into a score out of 100, gives it a 79. But you had critics all over the place in this. NME gave it a 5 out of 10, but Pitchfork gave it a 9.4 out of 10. So you have everything. So if you have never been with us before, the music will not be in the video, but it'll be at a Patreon link below. So follow along with this. Let's start out with the album opener, On the Bound. Now, I don't have a lot on most of these songs, but she's a great songwriter. We'll be able to probably interpret it here together as we go along. I'll have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Vita. All right, On the Bound, a really well done song, you know, like On the Rebound maybe, and kind of a little short for that. You know, she's basically saying that you're all I need, you're all I need, you're all I need, and maybe some faith would do me good in the chorus. Like, she's really into this other person, but she can't, in her mind, she can't really wrap her head around being happy, right? Like, she doesn't really want to do that. I don't know if what I'm doing, don't know, should I change my mind? I can't decide. There's too many variations to consider. No thing I do, don't do no thing, but bring me more to do, right? Say that 20 times quick. So, really well done. Piano work was great. I thought she sounded fantastic. Production was good. My only, like, it's not a bad thing, but the outro, the coda, could have been a little shorter. That would be my only thing if you made me pick something, but really good first track. Next up, we have To Your Love. To Your Love. So it's not really going well here. This guy's kind of patronizing her. She says in the chorus, please forgive me for my distance. The pain is evident in my existence. The shame is manifest in my resistance to your love, to your love. So I would have warned you, but really, what's the point? Caution could, but rarely ever helps. Don't be down. My demeanor tends to disappoint. It's hard enough even trying to be civil to myself. So you felt that angst throughout the song. It was okay for me, right? It was okay. I didn't like it nearly as much as I liked On the Bound, but, you know, not bad. Next up, we have Limp. Okay, Limp. Really good song. She's writing to this guy who wants her to be basically someone who needs him, right? But she doesn't. You want to make me sick. You want to lick my wounds, don't you, baby? You want the badge of honor when you save my hide. So this guy wants to feel useful, wants her to kind of be the weaker vessel. If you need my shame to reclaim your pride. And then, of course, when I think of it, my fingers turn to fists. I never did anything to you, man. But no matter what I try, you'll beat me with your lies. So call me crazy, hold me down, make me cry. Get off now, baby. It won't be long till you'll be lying limp in your own hands. So there's a kind of a double meaning to that. I think I'm going to let you figure that out. But this is a great song, man. It's fire lyrics. You feel her emotion. And so, like, this is one of those songs I was talking about at the beginning where you'd think she had somebody in mind when she was writing this because it's so impassioned and so well done. But I mean, like I said, according to her, she didn't. And sometimes she might say that because, you know, artists say that. They don't want anybody guessing it's about them. Next up, we have Love Ridden. All right, Love Ridden, just a kind of a haunting piano ballad there, right? It's not working out. A relationship is ending. And Love Ridden, I've looked at you with the focus I gave to my birthday candles. I've wished on the lidded blue flames under your brow, and baby, I wish for you. And then kind of saying she wants to crawl in bed with him, but she knows it won't work out. She'll just cry instead. And then the chorus, no, not baby anymore. If I need you, I'll just use your simple name. Only kisses on the cheek from now on. And in a little while, we'll only have to wave. The bridge, my hand won't hold you down no more. The path is clear to follow through. I stood too long in the way of the door, and now I'm giving up on you. So, I mean, it's fantastically written. Just really, really well done. Now we get to the most popular song on here by far, Paper Bag, third single. This is one that earned her Grammy Award nom for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance. She wrote it following an experience in which she mistook a plastic bag for a dove. It took place in Los Angeles following recording sessions for her previous studio album, of course, Tidal Wave, back in 1996. She reportedly was upset at the time, was a passenger in a car being driven by her father. Her lyrics are what she calls, quote, extensions of her journal, many of which draw experiences from a rape and subsequent mental health problems, including disordered eating, obsessive compulsive disorder, and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. The lyrics in this are about minimizing different types of pain. All right, Paper Bag. Nice horns on there from Don Sweeney. Just really, really well done. She kind of expanded on the Paper Bag thing a little bit more. I mean, just the story I told you, but she said her dad and her were driving to the grocery store. I was sitting sulking. I look up in the sky and I see this white dove and I think, oh, okay, everything's going to be okay. White dove. And I swung into this great high and the dove started falling, of course, and it was a plastic bag. And, you know, I made it a paper bag because paper sounds better. So the song itself kind of, I think, shows how hope can then lead to disappointment. That's kind of what she's doing with this guy here in this. And yeah, so I think a lot of people could probably identify to it Very well done. Next up, as we've reached the halfway point of this album, we got A Mistake. All right, A Mistake. A song that basically says she doesn't care if she makes a mistake. It kind of sounds like she hasn't made a mistake for a while, but I've acquired a taste for a well-made mistake. I want to make a mistake. Why can't I make a mistake? In the chorus, I'm always doing what I think I should. Almost always doing everybody good. Why? So like, maybe I just want to be bad or do something wrong for once. It was fine for me. I thought it was a little bit too long, a little bit too much extended coda at the end, but you know, it was fine. Next up, we have the lead single, Fast As You Can. Didn't chart in the US, but went to 33 in the UK so far as I filmed this in May of 2023. This is her highest charting song in the UK. She said that with the song, she wanted to explore different moods and the quote, ups and downs of a relationship. She said, when you get to the middle of the song, that spell of confusion takes you out of the element for a minute, which is, of course, what happens emotionally. But the beat never changes. She said the song is, quote, just the thoughts that were running through my head that were in that rhythm. John Bryan said he knew exactly what he wanted the song to sound like. He said, I knew I wanted it to be Matt Chamberlain on the drums. He can play all this beautiful machine-influenced stuff, but with human feel. He also Bryan himself played a very busy bass line idea, he said, and for Fiona on keyboard in his kitchen, combining the line with a groove in the style of Chamberlain's work. Fiona became excited and said, that's great. That feels exactly like it. They both stressed in interviews that it was Fiona and not Bryan who created the time changes and structures in the song were already present when he worked on it. John said, all I did was to heighten pre-existing things. In terms of the color changes, I'm coordinating all those, but the rhythms are absolutely Fiona. So sometimes, you know, the producer gets too much credit. I guess he just wanted to make sure that, you know, he wanted us to know that it is just Fiona. Fast As You Can, interesting soundscape, super, super well done. In there, she talks about struggling in this relationship, struggling with her mental illness and different things that she's dealing with. I mean, she talks about that in some of these other songs. I just don't point them out as much. But she starts out right away, I let the beast in too soon. I mean, she's talking about her mental illness, I would guess. And she says, oh, Darwin is so sweet. You think you know how crazy I am. You don't. You say you don't spook easy. You won't go, but I know, and I pray that you will. Fast as you can, baby, run. Free yourself with me. Fast as you can, so she doesn't believe that she's deserving of that relationship. And there's just so many other, I won't read all the lyrics to you, but the song is incredibly well written. Enjoy the piano. You got the Chamberlain on here, the instrument, not Matt Chamberlain, who's also on here on drums and percussion. Also the Wurlitzer, both of those are played by Patrick Warren, but yeah, excellently done. The tempo changing up with the play on the words, Fast As You Can. Just the production on this one is top notch. Got 3 songs left. Next we got The Way Things Are. The Way Things Are. You have Tom Biller on guitar and synth on here. I think he adds just a great texture and layering to this song. And this song is basically, well, I mean, I'm going to tell you what the song's about through Fiona's words. When she performed it all the way up in 2006, she shared this about the song before she started performing it. She said, quote, figuring that statistically, there's got to be somebody out there, or many people out there, that has somebody in their life who appears outwardly to be very, very good and very devoted to you. But then when they've got you alone and really quietly, they like whisper the worst things in the world to you, and everybody thinks they're the nicest person in the world. Got a few people like that in my life. This song is my big step in getting rid of that person. The only way that I could really deal with that was to write this song about how great things are, because this is exactly what I need. So like the chorus, so keep on calling me names, keep on, and I'll keep kicking the crap till it's gone. If you keep on killing, you could get me to settle, and as soon as I settle, I'll bet I'll be able to move on. So yeah, very well written. I thought the production on it, the arrangement on it was great. 2 songs left. Got Get Gone. Get Gone. Great drumming there for Matt Chamberlain, how it interplays with the piano, especially in the verses, right? In the first verse and the second verse. Great strings in here. You know, we got many violins and cellos in here. And the basic thing is she realized this guy doesn't care about her at all, and she just needs him to get gone because he's just toxic in her life. But very well produced, very well arranged, very well put together. And we got the last song on the album. It's the second most streamed, even though it wasn't a big hit. We got I Know. All right, I Know. It sounds like she's writing to a guy she's in a relationship with that's married, has the great strings, the cello, the violas, the violins, just really well done, really good production. Showcases her voice quite nice. So a good way to end this album. And now we're going to get to my favorite tracks. There's a bunch of them. There's only 10 tracks on this album. Honorable mentions: Love Ridden, that beautiful piano ballad. Paper Bag, some of you might have thought that would be a fave since it's by far the most popular song. And Get Gone. My fave's the first track on The Bound, Limp, so well written. Fast As You Can, and The Way Things Are. All right, now we get to my overall score, and I told you at the start of this, I'm always honest, I'm always transparent. Wasn't a big Fiona Apple guy. I don't know that I'm going to go spin all her stuff now. But this album is incredibly well done. Very consistent. John Bryan, fantastic on the production. Fiona's lyrics and her performance are, vocal performance are great. So for this album, I'm going to be at a sky high 8.5 on first listen. Shocks you after my opening? Probably. Shocks me a little bit. Let me know what else I should check out from Fiona. Thank you so much to Vita for bringing this one to me and, kind of opening my eyes a little bit to how I might have been wrong about Miss Apple. Leave your comments below, and until next time, guys, I will see you.